So guys, to continue explaining to you about the differences between a predicate nominative, an object complement, and an appositive, I have written some example sentences that might allow you to clarify these possible doubts. Now, check the first sentence over there. Some of those criminals were my friends. Now I have only underlined this time the elements that concern us so that you can see the difference between them. Some of those criminals were my friends. The verb is verb to be. That means that we have the possibility to have a predicate nominative, or a predicate adjective. But because we have a noun, we have to say by force that that's a predicate nominative. Now, some of those criminals were what? My friends. So, the word friends is the central word in that phrase, my friends. So, friends is a predicate nominative. Check the other case. Kevin called Jocelyn a foxy. Now, again, I have only underlined the element that concerns us, which is foxy in this case. Now, we have the verb called. The verb called allows us to have, yes, you guessed it, object complements. Now, you gotta check first that you have a direct object. Remember, that's an obligation. You need to have a direct object, and if you have an object complement, you will find it after the direct object. So you say, Kevin called who? He called Jocelyn. Jocelyn is a direct object, and then you ask the question. Kevin called Jocelyn what? He called her a foxy. See? You would not confuse a predicate nominative and an object complement because a predicate nominative occurs with a linking verb and an object complement occurs with a very specific set of transitive verbs. Guys, if you haven't learned those verbs, you need to make sure you learn them by now. Now I want you to check a sentence in which we have an appositive. It's a little longer. When we arrived to India, they gave us a delicious bread, butter naan. Now, when we arrived to India, they gave what? They gave a delicious bread. The central word is bread, and bread is a noun, so bread is the direct object. Now, what is a delicious bread, people? Butter naan is a delicious bread. So you say, naan is an appositive. Okay? See, in this case, I'm not paying attention to the verb. I am not paying attention to asking any question where. I just need to make sure that whatever noun renames a noun next to it, and if it doesn't follow the rules to find a predicate nominative or an object complement, then by force, again, if it's renaming, it's an appositive. Now, the interesting thing is that we can have an appositive, theoretically speaking, of course, theoretically speaking, for any noun in any sentence. In practice, this may not be the case, but in theory, it is. Now, I thought of a couple of sentences that shows this phenomenon. Pay attention to this. This is a black mamba, an extremely dangerous snake. Now, this is what? A black mamba. Black mamba is a predicate nominative. How do I know? Because of the verb. How else do I know? Because I am saying this is this. This is a snake. What is this and the snake? The same thing. I am actually renaming the subject, so I know that's the subject complement. Now, What is a black mamba? An extremely dangerous snake. See? So, it's the same thing. So, in other words, black mamba is a subject complement because it tells you what this is. And snake, to be precise, we are only classifying nouns. Snake tells me that this is an appositive for the black mamba, because the black mamba and an extremely dangerous snake are the same thing. See? So it can happen. Another example, guys, this time with an object complement. Robert Oppenheimer called himself Death, the destroyer of worlds. He actually called himself that, well, not really. He recited a poem. If you don't know who Robert Oppenheimer is, go ahead and check that out. Google it. Robert Oppenheimer called who? He called himself. Call is one of those verbs that allow me to have object complements. He called himself what? Death. See? Who is himself? Death. So I am renaming, well, not me, he was renaming himself Death. So Death is the object complement. And now check this out. I'm not saying it happens a lot, but I'm just saying it can happen. I have an appositive for the object complement. Robert Oppenheimer called himself Death. Who was Death? Or who is Death? Death is the destroyer of worlds. Because that acts as a proper noun, I need to include all of the phrase as a single element, okay? All of that is one element. The destroyer of worlds, that's the appositive. In this particular case, I ignored that worlds is a noun that is the object above, okay? In this case, I repeat, because it's a proper noun, I take all of the phrase as the appositive. So, to prove to you, to show you, an appositive can be in opposition to any noun, theoretically speaking. It can be in opposition to any noun, maybe not in practice, because it might not be very practical to be doing this. Does it happen? Yeah, from time to time it happens. I have seen it happen. I recommend you read, okay? Read a lot. The more you read, the more you will become familiar with these special cases, curious, okay, that we find in language. Not curious, curious. All right, and that's going to be it for this video. I'll be joining you in a minute with another video explaining to you the roles of the nouns.